Hey kids, History Channel guy here. So today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, and I'm going to be going over the top 10 weird or bizarre biblical quotes from various passages of the Bible. Basically, the Bible has some really weird parts, and I kind of want to go over them here. And I have not read any of these, and I might be familiar with a few of them, but I am in no way ripping on Christianity. I'm a Christian myself, and I go to church basically every Sunday. But I do think that there's some interesting parts of the Bible that need the light shed on them. But before I start, over 95% of you have not subscribed to the channel, and I would love it if y'all could subscribe. Okay, so let's start. So the first one comes from Deuteronomy 23:1, and it states, "No one whose testicles are crushed or whose male organ is cut off shall enter the assembly of the Lord." Basically, it's saying that anyone who's a eunuch or someone who's gotten their male parts touched up a bit, transgenders, aren't allowed in a church, which is very fascinating because that's kind of not thought of as a quote anymore, and it could be basically a direct biblical quote against transgenderism. And I'm not arguing that it is, but that's the way I read it. But that's an insane quote. That if you basically, like, let's say you got like lost in an accident, what if I poured coffee on my dick? I wouldn't be allowed to go to church anymore according to Deuteronomy. But that's the first one. But as you see, many Christians kind of pick and choose which parts of the Bible they like, and this one is not one that I would say 90% of churches listen to. So number two is Genesis 38:8, and it states, "Then Judah said to Onan, 'Go into your brother's wife and perform your duty as a brother-in-law to her, and raise up her offspring for your brother.'" Basically, what it's saying is, let's say your brother's wife is a widow. Therefore, it's your duty as his brother in law to raise up the offspring of your brother. But simultaneously, the way I read this is that Judah wants me to do all of the manly duties as the brother-in-law, meaning that he wants me to have sex with my brother and my brother's wife. Um, okay. I I hope maybe I'm reading it wrong, but go into your brother's wife and, yeah, perform your duty as a brother-in-law to her and raise up her offspring. So it's and. So you need to perform a duty, you need to have sex with her, and you need to raise the offspring. Interesting. Okay, so they want me to fuck my sister-in-law. That's great. Great job, Genesis. Deuteronomy again. Okay. Let's see what this one has to say. Deuteronomy 25:11. If two men, a man and his countrymen, are struggling together, and the wife of one comes near to deliver, her husband from the hand of the one who is striking him puts on her hand and seizes his genitals, then you shall cut off her hands. You shall not show pity. Okay, let's go over that again. So if two men, a man of his countrymen, are struggling together, and the wife of one comes near to deliver her husband from the hand, and puts on her hand and sees it. Wow. Okay, so that's crazy. So basically, wives don't intervene because it's a man's world, and you need to let the men fight, or you shall cut off your wife's hand. That is fucking crazy. Okay, and keep in mind, people used to think of the Bible as the sacred word of God. Therefore, everything in it is something that you have to do. There are theocracies out there and in history which would basically use this as the code of law, meaning that if your wife intervened in a fight, her hand would be cut off because that's the law. That's the word of God. Just keep this in mind as we read this, especially most of these are going to be Old Testament, I'd presume, but that's when all the crazy shit in the Bible usually is. But yeah, that's insane. Okay. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Okay. Ezekiel 23:19. Yet she increased her prostitution, remembering the days of her youth, when she engaged in prostitution in the land of Egypt. She lusted after their genitals as large of those of donkeys, and their seminal emission was as strong as that of stallions. Not really any advice here, but basically saying that this lady's a whore. She engaged in prostitution in the land of Egypt. Yeah, she wanted men with genitals as large as donkeys. So, like, that's huge. And they wanted the mission as strong as stallions. That is, oh my God. Okay. That's a real Bible verse, y'all. Look it up. Look up any of these. I really want to see, like, in all of y'all's Bibles if they have these. But Ezekiel, pretty sure that's Old Testament as well. Exodus. We have Exodus. Okay, this is a book I like. Let's see if I even remember this one. Now it came about at the lodging place on the way that the Lord met him and sought to put him to death. Then Zipporah, I definitely butchered that, took a flint and cut off her son's foreskin and threw it at Moses' feet. And she said, "You are indeed a bridegroom of blood to me." Oh my God. Okay. So basically, we have a circumcision in the Bible, and this woman does it in front of Moses, who is the prophet. Cool. Why not? Samuel 18:25. I've never read this book. Then Saul said, "Thus shall you stay to David. The king's desires no bride price except 100 foreskins of the Philistines, that he may be avenged of the king's enemies." Now Saul thought to make David fall by the hand of the Philistines. And when his servants told David these words, it pleased David well to be the king's son-in-law. Before the time had expired, David arose and went along with his men and killed 200 of the Philistines. And David brought their foreskins, which were given in full number to the king, that he might become the king's son-in-law. And Saul gave him his daughter, Michal, for a wife. So there you go, David. From David and Goliath, the way that he got his bride was he gave him 100 foreskin of the Philistines, which I'm pretty sure was Saul's rival at the time. But even so, that's just hilarious. I think that might be symbolic, maybe. Oh, wait, he gave him 200 Philistines when he only required 100. So David went above and beyond with the amount of foreskins that was required of him, basically showing that he's doing more than what's expected of him. But yes, this is your religion, everyone. This is everyone. I'd say majority of my audience's religion. I bet these are stuff you've never read before. Leviticus is where the fucking crazy shit is. So Leviticus, if you don't know, is basically the rules that God is telling Moses to the Israelites, and all these are just really crazy rules. Like there's like telling you how to sacrifice and what you should sacrifice, the different ways you're supposed to plant your crops. It's the famous one where basically a lot of crazy evangelicals have cited that like gays shouldn't be allowed to get married. It's like thou shalt not lie with a man, thou shalt lie with a woman. I'm definitely paraphrasing, but that's basically the gist of it. So Leviticus 20, here we go. 18, and if a man shall lie with a woman having her sickness and shall uncover her nakedness, he hath discovered her fountain, and she hath uncovered the fountain of her blood, and both of them shall be cut off from among their people. Basically, so wait, if a man shall lie with a woman having her sickness and shall uncover her nakedness, he hath discovered her fountain. So I think this is basically saying that unless if you have premarital sex, then you need to be cut off from your society. That's the way I'm reading it. Basically, like if he uncovers her nakedness, he's seeing her in a state that she's not supposed to be seen in. Yeah, I uncover the fountain of her blood. I think that's a period reference. So it might be her time of the month, and he's not supposed to see her naked. So therefore, she should be shamed. And I see the next one is Leviticus 24:16. So here's another Leviticus. Okay, here we go. Whoever utters the name of the Lord must be put to death. Holy fuck. The whole community must stone him, whether alien or native. If he utters the name, he must be put to death. So basically, if I said, oh my God, or Jesus, it's taking the Lord's name in vain, and I need to be stoned to death. So if you're a true believer of the Bible, you need to start doing this. If I'm violating it. Leviticus 24:16 states that I need to be put to death because of this. That's insane. Okay. Leviticus 24. That might be the craziest one I've as and even it's accidental. Like I don't mean to take the Lord's name in vain. It just so happens as part of my vocabulary. And apparently people would actually kill people if they uttered the Lord's name in vain back then. So that's kind of scary and it's kind of sad, but kind of shows how far away we've gone from just the theological state that most sects of Christianity were at. Kings 23. I have not read Kings, so I don't know where this is. I'd presume this is Old Testament again. I don't think I've seen any New Testament books actually so far, but let's see. Then he went up from there to Bethel, and he was going up the road. Some youths came from the city and mocked him and said to him, "Go up, you bald head. Go up, you bald head." So he turned around and looked at them and pronounced a curse on them in the name of the Lord. But don't take the Lord's name in vain, you'll be put to death. And 2 female bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 of the youths. Honestly, out of all of them, I don't hate this message because it's basically respect your elders. They're basically making fun of him for being old. So I honestly don't mind this. Kind of weird that God would unleash 2 female bears to kill 42 people, but that is the way of the Lord. Honestly, I can't argue with that one. This one isn't that weird in my opinion. And here's our last one. Oh wait, there's more. I got more. Okay, sick. Duet 28:53. Then, because of the dire straits to which you will be reduced when your enemy besieges you, you will eat your own children, the flesh of your sons and daughters, whom the Lord has given you. Okay, wait. So then, because of the dire straits to which you will be reduced when your enemy besieges you, I honestly think that, and this is probably no, this is Deuteronomy. This has to be Deuteronomy. There's no book called Duet, but I think there's probably more context to this because it says then, so there has to be like a paragraph before it explaining, or some perhaps even a verse before it explaining why you would be eat your own children. But I guess the book of Deuteronomy is saying that cannibalism is okay in a certain circumstance. Perhaps the previous verse was they had a big plane crash and they ran out of food, so therefore they had to eat the dead bodies. I don't know. I think that's justified, but maybe Deuteronomy is advocating for that. Deuteronomy 28:27. May the Lord strike you with Egyptian boils and with tumors, scabs, and itch, for which you will find no cure. That sounds like one of the curses, and again, this one I don't really find too crazy. There's stuff like this, all that, like God literally sent down so many plagues upon the Egyptians that this one doesn't surprise me at all. And that's it. Okay, so we're ending off on a lame one, but there you go, y'all. There's 10 plus a bonus one, so I guess 11 crazy verses of the Bible. What do y'all think? Do you think that this was fun and I should start doing more crazy verses of the Bible? Or should I just end it here and accept that a bunch of Christians are going to be mad at me for doing this? I'm sorry, I am Christian. I'm not making fun of the Bible. I just think it's kind of interesting from a historical perspective that people used to listen to this as the word of the Lord and as infallible law. But that's all, guys. Remember to like and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching.